Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Small but mighty. Let's have a great morning. So we are continuing with our yearly theme of resurrect, rebuild, and renew. And this month we are focusing on joy. And today's talk is God belongs to all. And our contributors, when we all got together, as Reverend Nancy, so I had some good stuff, Dr. Maureen, and Judy Dunkley. So there were a lot of great little notes for this talk that I am utilizing today. So thank you for that. So what does God belongs to all mean? What does that mean? Emma Curtis Hopkins says, my God is my good is my God. There's good in God, so good as God. As we've been doing our 365 this year, today's May 22nd, it's a quote from Psalms. In God I have put my trust. Oh, I think I have a slide for this. Oh, look at that. I had no idea that was going to happen. In God I have put my trust. I will not be afraid of what man can do to me. And then he goes on in the main part. There is a power operating through me, a presence inspiring, guiding, and sustaining me. Because I am this divine presence, and because it is in me, this divine presence has all the power. I know that my thought is made manifest in a perfect demonstration of healthy harmony and of success. That's a great way to wake up this morning. So we get our little doesn't he have one here? We take our little 365 and we just go in there and my day is set. I know once I read that, I'm feeling powerful. The Psalms quote, in God I put my trust. This is, I feel, similar to the Emma Curtis Hopkins statement, God is my good. I will not be afraid of what man can do. I would interpret this as I will not be afraid of my humanness, what I would do to myself. Because as a human, I tend to, judge myself sometimes, judge other people sometimes. And that's what I feel today's topic is really all about. It's really about my human life and do I deserve what I'm getting? Do other people deserve what they're getting? How do I feel about other people and their behavior? And for me, this is what I really feel good belongs to all, is in how we're judging ourselves and other people. I think I'm really good because I follow the rules and therefore good things should happen to me because I'm a good person. Ergo, since I'm a good person, good things should happen. And sometimes it gets really confusing when I see people who aren't following the rules, who still have these great bountiful blessings. Like I'm following the rules and I feel like I'm drowning. And look at them, they're prospering. Like, where's the fairness in this? I don't even understand this. One of my dear friends, for her rules are just optional guidelines. We were having lunch one day at this restaurant, and the parking lot is for the shops around. And if you're going to eat at the restaurant, you need to valet your car. Well, she pulls up, parks her car, comes, joins me, and this is when we were outside dining. Comes, sits on the sidewalk with me, and starts eating. And the parking attendant comes and asks her if that's her car, would she please move it? She's like, yeah. An hour later, her car is still there. And I just I would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me move my car. But for me, it's not me saying, I don't have to put my expectations on her. The truth is, it's done unto them as they believe, not as I believe. So I believe she's not following the rules, but in her consciousness, she's fine. It doesn't really matter what really happens. But for me, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. It was really funny, actually, when I think about it. We talk about how, here in Science of Mind, we talk about how Spirit doesn't care who we are, but it meets us at our point of receptivity. And the law doesn't discriminate. Many people go about their lives and they create their good using this. There is, to me, is there a right or wrong way being in the world? Is there a right or wrong? I don't really think there's a right or wrong. But there is no limit to the law, but there appears to be a limit to our understanding of it. And as our understanding unfolds, our possibility of attainment increases. So in the past, I felt that my good would come if I was kind to people and I worked really hard and I sacrificed myself for others. And all I saw were these huge stop signs because I was so busy taking care of other people and not really nurturing myself. And I kept getting caught up in all the details of everything. And it's like looking at a beautiful flower, like these beautiful flowers here, and not enjoying the whole bouquet, but looking, oh, look at that green, look at that. And you're not enjoying the beauty of everything around you. It's just getting caught up into the little details. And I felt I was really out of balance, like just so stressed about life all the time. So Reverend Mike asked me Tuesday night in the practitioner class, oh, I didn't ask you to do service on Sunday? No. And I was like, great, okay, I'll do it. And I was planning on Thursday writing my sermon. I came home from work, maybe I took a nap. I started watching this Netflix show. And in the past, I would have judged myself as being lazy as I spent 6 hours watching the show. But now I realize that it's okay. I don't have to always be productive. I can just sit there. And that's how I kind of find joy in the good in my life, is just taking time out for myself not to be so productive. So this show is called Money Heist. It's a Spanish show. It has English subtitles, and it's La Casa de la Papel. And it starts off with people robbing the National Mint. And you go, oh, these people must be really bad. They're robbing this bank. But as you start getting their backstories, well, maybe they're not so bad. Maybe they're actually good people, not making the best choice at the time. But you start learning a little bit more about them, and then the line between good and bad starts to blur. You know, you start like rooting for these people, and you really want them to do well. And there's a main character, La Profesor, and he always says, I'm such a lucky man. And sure enough, he keeps getting out of these spots. You're like, oh no, he's going down. But sure enough, he rises. There's this Joel Goldsmith quote, nothing comes into our experience except through our consciousness. So what our life will depend on was what we entertain in our consciousness. And as I'm watching this, I go, this professor has such a strong consciousness, you know, because he keeps getting out of this. He's like, I'm a lucky man, I'm a lucky man. Estoy un suerte hombre, is what he keeps saying. So as I'm thinking about this, watching this Netflix show, going, I probably should be writing my sermon. Well, here's my sermon happening right now. Are there experiences in your life when there's that fine line of good and bad? You don't know if it's good or bad. Did someone really wrong me, or were they just, doing their thing? About a little over 3 years ago, I had a relationship with this guy, and it wasn't very healthy, we'll just say that. And it ended with a toxic text from him. And I said, sorry, this isn't what I want, have a great life. And he replied something else, and I ignored it. I've never done that before. I've always wanted to make sure everyone was happy, and I'm so sorry you're upset. What can I do to make this right? And I realized that there was nothing I could do to make it right. And I just let it go. So fast forward to about 2.5 years later, which was about 4 months ago, I was at the stretch lab getting stretched. And I was laying there, and this guy Charles was stretching me, and my watch beeped. And usually I just ignore it when I'm being stretched, but I looked at it, and it was a text from him 2.5 years later. And I'm sitting here trying to read it as he's stretching me, and he's apologizing 2.5 years later. And it was a long text, but the crux of it was he was having a lot of stuff in his life, and he wasn't really himself, and he was sorry. And I must have, Charles kind of said, is everything okay? Because I think I gasped in shock because I really never expected to hear from this person again. And I sat all day, well, what do I want to respond? Thank you for the lessons. I just made it simple. Thank you for your text. I'm glad you're doing well. Have a great life. And I've never done that before. I've never just let someone be. And so I was thinking about this. I didn't have the backstory. I didn't have the episodes. I wasn't watching the episodes of his life, so I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is that it just wasn't working, so I didn't know his story. And when you go back and you see people's behavior and what caused them to do what they did, it's like to live our lives with joy, we need to make sure we're not putting our expectations, our rules on other people. And there is this quote from Matthew in the Bible: if you're offering your gifts at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift at the altar and then go reconcile first with your brother. Then come back and give your gift. So to live in a state of joy, we need to remember that God is everything and not to be afraid of what our humanness can do to us. Even in the not so happy place, God is there. Can we go and reconcile with someone who done us wrong? Are we able to see God in them? That's the secret to joy and good in our life. Can we see the God, the good, and the not so pretty places? I was going to say, many of you know that I go into prisons. There I am right there in that red in the corner, surrounded by a bunch of people, men who have committed crimes, and many of them are serving a life sentence. And when I walk into the prison, I don't really look at them for what crimes, I don't really know half the time. I just know that they're children of God, that they're expressions of good who made bad choices. They are their spirit, their soul is God is good. They just made bad choices. And so like the quote that we had at the beginning in our Science of Mind 360, there is a power operating through them, a presence inspiring, guiding, and sustaining them, because they are this divine presence, and because it is in them, and because this divine has all the power, I know that their thoughts are made manifest in perfect health, harmony, and success. So just like us, people who have not made the best choices, there's God in them too. These individuals, I have no idea what drove them to desperate places. I don't know their backstory. I haven't seen their episodes yet. So I don't know. All I can do is just hold a place of loving, healing, and peace, because we know that God isn't a discriminator of persons. The Spirit gives to everyone alike according to our receptivity. And when we go in there, we're trying to open up their receptivity. And many of them have gotten out. I have a lot of Facebook friends now who were once incarcerated individuals. So it's really important for us not to judge people because we don't know. Now, mind you, I'm not asking you to go back into toxic relationships, but I'm asking you to examine what role did you have in that relationship and what did you learn and heal coming out of that relationship. When we release our judgments or dis-ease that we hold against ourselves and others, we can really experience this joy and freedom in life. Truthfully, any judgments that we hold against someone else are unhealed patterns that we haven't healed in ourselves. Because if someone upsets us and we haven't healed a pattern, that's why we're judging them. If someone does something I don't like, I can just ignore it. I can just walk away. I don't have to put any energy on it. Ernest says, Spirit's whole desire for me is freedom and joy. Everyone raise your arms up. Freedom and joy. So when we let go of this negative energy, we're opening ourselves up for the gift that the universe has to offer. We're able to hear that small voice that leads us to make better choices. Roads will rise up, the teacher will show up, we'll feel lighter, and we'll be able to really soar. last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I was in Utah. And it's a long story, but I'll cut to the chase. I ended up renting the last night a really fancy hotel room. You know, the kinds with the big robes and the big tub. And I was sitting there and I was soaking in the tub. And I've had this shoulder injury since January, and it's not healing. And as I was sitting there in that tub, I thought about the guy who sent me that text 4 months ago. It was his birthday last month, so I sent him a happy birthday text, and he replied kindly, thank you. But yeah, so I was thinking about him. He's a trainer, and he is a genius, a mastermind with body alignment and muscles and how our body operates, and which is why I knew him from before. And I thought, gosh, I wonder if he could really help me with my shoulder. And part of me is like, oh, I don't know if I want to reconnect with him. I mean, I sent a kind text and he replied kindly. But that little voice said, you know, maybe he can actually help you again. Maybe that's why he came back into my life. And I was really, you know, struggling with whether or not I should reconnect. But I did. I reached out and I sent him a text to see if he was willing to work with me and help me heal my shoulder. And he replied, of course, I would love to. And Ernest says, whatever I should know, I will know. Whatever I should do, I will do. And so I did, because that voice told me that maybe there was a possibility. And guess what? I hit a serve for the first time after 2 treatments with him since January, able to raise my arm, and it's healing, it's getting there, but I'm really happy I reconnected. But I had to go and I had to heal stuff, and I knew 3 years ago, 3 years is a long time, and as Reverend Nancy knows, she's really watched me grow up the last 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. She's really watched me grow the last 10 years, and I knew I'm in a different place now, and you know, perhaps he was, because he did send a text to apologize, even though, you know, 2.5 years later. So, you know, it's giving people a chance. It's giving them the opportunity and not holding on. And that's where we really find that joy, that gift, that happiness. I love, you guys found this quote. I thought this quote was fantastic. Perhaps when we cut into, it is a life of humility, a risking to be one with the soul of our experience that allows us to heal into something entirely. So being able to go back and forgive and heal myself and have these relationships that really spur on my good, I think it was a great opportunity of growth and understanding for me. Emma reminds us, I do not believe in a mixture of good and evil in the world or in myself. All is good. So this experience, all is good, everything is good. So I would love for you to just take a moment and place your hands on your heart and just really go inside. And just whatever needs to be released that will open up the joy and the good for all. Just like let it go. Send it to that nothingness from whence it came. And just know God is all there is. My God is my good is my God. And so it is.